Hello, world. This is America's Supermom, and this is a special edition that I call the Corona Chronicles. During this time, we are suffering from a pandemic that is affecting everyone across the world. We are joined with the rules and regulations of being shelter in place, which means we are limited with the ability to go about our daily business, confined to our homes based on a coronavirus that has been sweeping the entire world. For some people, the effects could be mild. For others, it can be fatal. So we are coming together as a community, as a family during this time of difficulty to share what it is like in our part of the world, how we are affected, and the things that we have in common, what kind of problems that are taking place in our industries and in our relationships and finances, and coming together so that we can plan for a better tomorrow. As this epidemic or pandemic crosses the world, we are waiting for relief. We're waiting for the virus to die off and for us to go back to some state of normalcy, whatever that may be, after things kind of settle down. So, what is that going to look like once the dust settles? How are things going to be different? So, as we go through this process, we're coming together as a world to create ideas, strategies, connect in ways that we have never connected before. So, that is the purpose of the special podcast that I call the Corona Chronicles, so that we can get some insight and have empathy and compassion on one another, create new innovative ideas that can not only improve our life, but our fellow brothers and sisters across the world. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited about my next guest, Terilee Harrison. Really excited. We were able to connect through Facebook. Um, we are connected through a networking group by the name of Team, and I'll have her kind of go into all those details. But really excited to have a conversation with her. We were able to connect on a Zoom call, and I just want to say, I just feel like I've known her forever. It was a great conversation and great opportunity just to connect and see how many things that we actually have in common. So I'm really looking forward to her insight and wisdom regarding this pandemic and just ways that we can pivot and move forward during this pandemic because it's not going to last forever. But really excited. She's a woman that's full of a lot of wisdom and looking forward to her insight. So at this time, I want to give Terilee the floor so that she can introduce herself.
Oh, thank you so much, Lachelle, for having me. And I enjoyed our chat so much. I think we talked over an hour. Can you all
Yes.
imagine that here's this woman with 15 kids and she had an hour for me? So I don't know how long these podcasts are, but we'll control ourselves. I promise for the listeners. So nice to be here. And just a little bit about me. I am an American that lives in Singapore. We've been here about 3 years. My business is business networking. And up until 18 months ago, it was all face-to-face networking, except for what I was doing remotely here in Singapore with some people that I network with still in Southern California. And so my thing I share is that we were doing online networking before online networking is cool. So I've really have gotten into the ability to have borderless boundaries and to be able to meet people from around the world, just like we're recording this podcast right now. So, and then just one fun fact about me is that I have a Supergirl cape and I'm not afraid to wear it. So that's my intro.
I love that. I love that. Now, so you are in Singapore. So tell everybody, how you got there and,
Mm.
that whole story.
That whole story. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you the 2 second story. No, we were living in Southern California for many years, and my husband had the opportunity to be a dean at a Bible college here, and
Mhm.
he gave me, I didn't, you didn't know this part. He gave me veto power. I didn't even know where Singapore was, and in
Mhm.
fact, he was offered to do some teaching assignments. One was in Greece, one was in Singapore. I didn't know what Singapore was or where it was from. And all I could do was say, I'm going to Greece. And I never even looked it up.
Mm.
If I would have looked up Singapore, do y'all know? Y'all should Google it if you don't know. But if you Google
Mhm.
Singapore under Google Images, you'll be like, whoa. And so, but he gave me veto power. We came to see it, and he said, if you can't do it, we won't do this. And I could not find any compelling reason to tell him no. And so, as
Wow.
scary as an international move is, it's been a blessing. And the other thing is, if I hadn't
Mhm.
done this, I wouldn't be doing online networking today. I can pretty much guarantee you. I would have been still involved in networking in the greater Los Angeles area, because in the concept of lack and plenty, there are
Mhm.
plenty of people to network with in Los Angeles, right? I don't think I ever would have looked at this, so we wouldn't be having this conversation today. Imagine.
Right, right. That is so awesome. Yeah, now so let's go on this journey with you, the whole
Mm,
thing of wrapping your head around an international move,
mm,
so
mm,
the language the barrier, I mean,
mm.
what
Um,
type of things had to happen, mentally for you to make such a transition?
Mm. The good news is Singapore's main language is English. Thank
Mhm.
goodness. Okay, thank goodness. They do speak some Chinese and Malay here, right? But our
Mhm.
main English, and they have their own. For my Singaporean friends who might be listening, all respect to Singapore, and
Mhm.
they have a very cute. They call it Singlish. It's their slang. So if you look
Okay.
up, if anybody has the time, you don't, Lachelle, with 15 kids,
Mhm.
but anybody else that has time to look up Singlish, you'll see some of the cute way they talk. And but the process, when we moved, we brought 19 boxes of things,
Mhm.
and 8 of those were my husband's books. Okay, you with me?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So we literally now now we literally there's a few like things at my aunt and uncle's there in Southern California, like pictures, and I didn't get to bring all, I didn't choose not at the time not to bring all my pictures, and there's a few things there, but the other thing that happened is the couple that was heading back home to the States that we took their position, we bought some of their personal items. So it wasn't like we
Oh,
had
okay.
nothing, but like as far as like our personal effects, I mean, like we
Mhm.
really got down to, you really look at what's important in your life, and all this stuff is just stuff, right? So it
Wow.
actually brought me great joy. I didn't know we were going to talk about all
Mhm.
this. It actually
Mhm.
brought me great joy to watch people
Mhm.
buying, because people did, it's a mission sale for us, right? People, but
Mhm.
it brought me great joy to see people enjoying my things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big transition in itself,
Oh, big
going
time.
through that process of prioritizing and simplifying. So
Mm,
what type of questions or how do you go about that simplification process? And I say that because a lot of people during this pandemic,
mm,
some of them have to move,
yeah.
their jobs are
Yeah.
changed. And so,
Yeah.
the mental space there of prioritizing, what were some things that you asked yourself in order to make the cut, so to speak?
Mm. Um, some of it is going to be faith and belief that you just know it's what you need to do, and whether it's
Mhm.
a job opportunity, whether you have to because of your job situation. Some of it's going to
Mhm.
be just being brave, right? Having the guts,
Mhm. Mhm.
loving your, being able to tie up loose ends, like being able to do the saying goodbyes to people. Like and
Mhm.
we had that added. I had the attitude that it was, see you later, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't
Mhm.
goodbye, it was see you later. It was,
Mhm.
yeah, it was definitely definitely a lot of that. And then the one thing, if you do need to pare down your things, like I hope nobody has to do necessarily what we did, but if you do need to
Mhm.
pare down your things, you can always, you're going to have stuff that you realize doesn't mean anything to you that you need to sell, giveaway,
Mhm.
etc. But also, I had someone gave me permission to create a pile that was, I don't need to decide in this moment if it's going to Singapore or not. Like I could choose, like I
Uh,
could put things in a pile that I could go back to at another time when I felt ready to deal with it. And that was
mhm.
very valuable, and also you can choose sometimes, of some of my special things are with my daughter in Southern California. Like sometimes we laughed. Okay, we were walking through Target. Oh gosh, I didn't know we were talking about this. We were walking through Target, and I thought, if somebody hears us, they're gonna think like I'm dying, because we were talking about who. I had a snowman collection. I had a big old Christmas collection of decorations, right? And
Mhm.
I was like, well, who's gonna get the snowman? Well, she says, well, I want them. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if people would have heard
Mhm.
us talking, they would have surely thought I was like, dying, not moving across the world. But it's just an interesting thing. And but I tell you what, you will find is,
Mhm.
that it's your relationships that are important. It's not your things. It is not your
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, and that's a great thing to kind of come to grips with, especially now. We've kind of been forced to that type of mindset,
Yeah.
in a lot of places. So that is great insight. Now, so switching gears to the networking. So
Mm,
you are used to the face to face, and you are bringing up a lot of points that a lot of people who have been on their jobs for a long time, and they're in that space of face to face. And this has just been a major upset
yeah.
to transfer a lot of that online. So, what pointers would you give somebody who has to make that transition? They're learning new apps
Yep.
or,
Yep.
platforms. So, what advice would you give them during this time?
The first thing that I would suggest to them is, I want to invite you to embrace it for all it is. Okay. When I was doing face to face networking around Los Angeles, like I had long days. I'd get up in my car and commute in traffic and go out to meetings
Mhm.
and, be out till, don't get me wrong, it's not totally crazy hours, but be out from like 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. and still have to come back and answer emails and do paperwork. And you know what I do now? I walk across, as you do probably, I walk across my hallway, open up the computer, get on screen. I mean, I want to invite you to embrace the the what you have to put out to conduct business this way is so much easier on
Mhm.
yourself, right? As far as like balance in your life. And so I,
Mhm.
I invite you all that may be like, oh my gosh, do I really have to do this? And but it is a beautiful thing. And the ability to connect with people in your city,
Mhm.
in your state, in your country, in another
Mhm.
country, if you're in a business that you can do business online and not meet your client in person, the gift that this has given you to take a look at this is incredible. So yes, it may take, you may be not technical. I can do certain things, and there's certain things Terilee is not gifted in, and it may take you a little while. Find someone in your life that is technical that can help you. Like my husband is awesome at tech, and if I say, can you help me figure
Mhm.
this out, he helps me, right? So find that person in your life and get their help if you need it. But this gift you've been given, it is a beautiful gift. This will, as Michelle said, this will not be like this forever, and you will be able to get back to face to face. But I think for some of us that we may not entirely go back face to face in the way that we were,
Mhm.
right? Because there's this
Mhm.
ability to get on a phone, a video call, this ability to get on Zoom or whatever you're on for online meetings. It is the connections is great. And someone a year ago talked to me about the concept of bending time. Like I can pop around, and
Mm,
today I've been on the call with Canada. I mean, like if I told you like how my days go, South Africa, Australia, Canada, Scotland. I mean, it's amazing. And the US, of course, right? But it's
mm-hmm.
amazing how I can conduct all this business in one day from Singapore.
That's awesome. Now, so you mentioned bending
Mm.
time. What was that concept about?
Well, the concept of how long would it take me to go to Scotland to see that lady? Right?
Right, right.
Right? Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe not even that, but I attended a networking meeting with a wonderful lady that I've connected with out of Scotland, and I got to meet all some of her best people, and she's like, "Oh, Terilee is great, and you all need to meet her." And now I wouldn't have been able to attend that meeting, right?
Right,
Right.
right.
Tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
afternoon, I'm popping in. There's an online meetup with a bunch of people from down under, and I'm totally excited to expand and meet my network down in Australia, New Zealand, and I can just do that from my house. It's awesome.
I love that. Now, so I love this whole concept about being able to meet so many different people from so many different
Yep.
countries. Now, so how do you feel that your business has changed? What other things has, this transition done for you in terms of confidence
Mm,
or just some of the benefits that have taken place as a result of you pivoting into this new
mm. Okay.
concept?
So the one thing I think is that it has given me the opportunity. I think it gives us all an opportunity to step into something. So whether that is going to be that you step into networking more, not just in your town or your city, but maybe even like regionally. So if you're in the South, you might have like a Southern US group, right? So you step
Mhm.
into, I'm not just my small town person, I'm this, right? And for me, oh my gosh, Michelle, seriously, like years ago, I'm a small town girl from Ohio, okay? Um, so
Mhm.
so if you would have told me that on a daily basis, like I'm meeting people, and like they're my first friends in Egypt, and my first friends in Saudi, and my first friends in all these places, and I had to grow into that person that wasn't afraid of
Mm.
new cultures, that could stand in
Mhm.
who I was and meet them and offer to help them in their networking, right? This is an
Mhm.
opportunity for all of us to stretch and grow. And the question is, what will we do with it?
I
We
love
can
that.
sit back and watch
Now,
Netflix. And
yeah,
I do,
I love
yeah, I do
that.
a little bit of that in the evening with my husband. We chill, right? But we can sit
Mhm.
back and do that, or we can step into kind of who we're meant to be, and maybe it's bigger and outside of what we ever thought.
I love that because it seems like you're able to dream a lot bigger. It's something to staying in small spaces or staying with a mindset of
Yep.
local or regional for that matter. But when you open up, I mean, for me at least as well with this pandemic, being able to interview people all over the world, it has definitely increased my ability to dream bigger,
Yes. Yes.
you know, something I would have never really considered,
No.
because your dreams kind of fit in the box, but this has really opened up that box, so to speak. I'm totally out of
Yeah,
it.
no, no, there is no box. I tell people kind of throw it away. There is no, just not
Mhm.
out of the box. It's like throw the box away and see what can you do. And there are people, and I have to say, I am very sorry that it took this pandemic for people to understand the
Yeah.
online networking space I was in. Because prior to this, I
Mhm.
had to kind of beg people to look at it. They were all like,
Wow.
I had gone on LinkedIn a couple months ago and said, "What do you prefer, face to face or online network?" Oh, face to face, face to face. Everyone's like, "No, I don't like being on screen." They would say, or "No, no, I love my face to face networking." And so it wasn't that I didn't have anybody looking at it, but it was a tougher sale. And now suddenly everyone must do this, But the thing is they're figuring
Mhm.
out that there is a gift inside of it, and they're figuring out that it's not as bad as what they thought, and they actually, some of them like
Right.
it. So my phone
Yeah.
is ringing off the hook, and I'm so grateful that we stepped into it ahead of time, because it's like, oh, someone said something about, you weren't expecting this whirlwind, and I go, no, no, this is the whirlwind of my dreams. I've been waiting for this. But I'm sad
Mhm.
it's inside of what's happening out in the world. So I would say to anyone, throw your box out. Some other people are sitting
Mhm.
there with it, and that they also have a business right now that everyone is realizing that they need. And like, we have to step up. Like, this is our chance to serve. So I don't look at it as, I knew
Mm.
about it, y'all didn't. What I want to do is, if people need tips and strategies, I want to share them. I am here to
Mhm.
help, to serve. If people have sales teams, teams of network marketing, direct sales, if they have teams of people that want some tips on how to get started, especially, I'll even customize it and do a webinar for them, for their industry, right, for their company, and just come
Mm.
alongside and share, because not everyone was prepared
Mhm.
for this, right? Not everyone was. and
Mhm.
and having done a deep dive for 18 months, I've learned some things, and I'm happy to share my knowledge.
I love that. So let's switch gears and talk about team, because that's a great way that we were able to connect. And for those of them who may be listening, explain what team is and its
Oh, sure.
mission.
So,
Mhm.
Team is our nickname for Team Referral Network, and Team
Mhm.
has been in Southern California now for 18 years, and is primarily in the Southwest U.S. We met face to face prior to 6 weeks ago, or whatever it was, right? 2 months ago. How long has it been?
Mhm.
But anyway, so
I
so
know.
if you're like on the East Coast, or
What
yeah,
day
I
is
know,
it?
right?
No.
If you're on if you're on in Canada, the East Coast, I don't know, who knows, England, wherever you are, you might not have heard of it. But we, of course, everybody's meeting online now. But it's inside of Team Referral Network that I began launching these virtual chapters before everybody else went online. And the secret sauce is that if you want a national team, you want to grow your business across North America, we will help you create a team of
Mhm.
people so that you can grow your business. It's for people with borderless boundaries. So it's not for the local chiropractor.
Mm.
It's not for the local real estate agent, unless you have a chapter that's based out of your town that just wants to meet online. So an example of that is, I have a realtor out of Chicago. We're building a greater Chicago virtual chapter. They will always meet online. Does it mean they can't go meet? No, they can go have coffee with their referral partners, right? But otherwise,
Mm.
you may have a team that is, I was on with a bunch of people from Vancouver and into North America earlier today, and so you can create what it is you want. If you're in the US and you want to bridge in and start networking with people from Europe, we can create that, right? So it is an
Mm.
added element to beyond what you are normally doing, and the hallmark is the weekly exclusive referral networking. So we do it online, 1 hour a week, but it can be national and global, and it's powerful. It's powerful.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. I love that. And one of the things that I appreciated about our meeting was you just had this feeling of everybody being
Mm,
like-minded. Regardless of where they were from across the
yes.
world. Just that whole concept for that networking event. When we had the
Yep. Yep.
mixer, or I can't quite put it into words, but it was just great. So, what advice would you give somebody regarding, or some tips, for networking online? Because as you said, it's been a big pivot for you, but for somebody who is maybe a little intimidated about the process, what were some tips or hacks that you could give somebody with making that
I think the
transition?
one thing that is important is you want to be prepared. You might want to find out, like, do I get to give a 1 minute commercial at this meeting? Find out what you get, what is
Mm,
going to happen, and you might want to be prepared, because this isn't like we get to walk in a room and we get to check people out like up until the time they stand and speak, and we might get to sit at a table and chat with them. Suddenly
mm,
you're on screen and that's your chance, right? so so
right.
you may want to find out and be prepared if that's something you're not used to. What is it I'm going to be able to present? And I would say, just like
Mhm.
it's nerve-wracking, isn't it, Lachelle, to get in the car and drive to a meeting and meet a bunch of people you don't know? It's that almost that same kind of feeling. But the one thing for me is, like, I get up. This is personal, but anyway, I know there's some people working home that don't, like, necessarily get ready every day, right? But like, I make sure I
Right.
get up and I get ready, like be presentable, right? Be presentable and be in
Yeah.
that mindset. If you need your coffee, whatever you need, but but be ready, just like it's a business meeting. Um, be prepared
Mhm.
to be organized in your follow up. Just like, you're not going to come home with a bunch of business cards.
Mhm.
You're gonna be able to. One thing I recommend is, if you don't have an online calendar system, you get one, because it's way too hard to say, well, when are you free this week? No, no, no. Give them your calendar. And especially, like, if I'm
Mhm.
dealing with North America and people see my Singapore calendar, sometimes they're like, what? And so I warn them
Mhm.
and say, if this time zone doesn't look right to you, message me. We'll find a time, right? Here, Lachelle and I are doing this at
Mhm.
6:30 in the morning, her time, and 6:30 at night, my time. So we're just making it work, right? Right? You
Absolutely.
just make it work. But having
Mhm.
that online
Mhm.
calendar is huge also. And
Mhm.
I think it can absolutely be like face to face, when face to face networking is always way more fun with a friend. And what if you have a friend who's going to pop on screen
Yeah.
with you? Like, if you're wondering, I think that can be something that you do. You still having a wingman, although you're not going to, like, go mingle per se, but having someone there on screen with you,
Mhm.
I think can be powerful the first time. You will find there are many kinds of online networking events. There are monthly ones, like, we met at a mixer. That's like a one-time thing. We have them weekly, but that was like a
Mhm.
opportunity to come once if you want and meet some people and make connections. We move up to the weekly referral meeting. That's the hallmark of what we do. But you're going to find there's events that have a speaker. There's more mastermind type events. There's all kinds of events. And there, if ladies, if you may want a ladies event, I have to say there's mostly women in online networking. Have you found that to be the case? Yeah, it's mostly the
Yeah.
ladies.
Yeah.
It's mostly the
This
ladies
is
that show.
true.
There are some men.
Mhm.
And I'm
Mhm.
gonna say too, it's not that I just run my own network. I'm actually engaging and joining in several networks of my own that are online, also collaborating with other people that
Mhm.
run networking groups that are different than mine, because I feel my responsibility,
Mm.
and I like it too, but I feel my responsibility. I need to grow my network so that I have more valuable connections globally to introduce to all my people, right? So it's not that I tell you, go
Right.
do it, and I don't do it. I'm doing it also. I'm right in there with you.
I
So
love
in the
that.
last week, I've joined a group out of Australia, and I'm connecting with a group that's out of the UK. Because what did I say? That's where I want to expand, right? So
Mm.
so go where you want to expand, right?
Mhm.
And start there, and start there.
Mhm.
Um, Connect with people like myself, right? Connect with the people who run the groups. We're the
Mhm.
ones who are connected and will help connect you. I love to meet connectors, influencers, great networkers. And it's not that I won't help someone
Mhm.
just starting out in networking and doesn't have the first idea where to start, but you can see how, as I meet these other people that are also connected, the power of what we can do for our networks and who we're able to introduce people to. It's very, it is,
Yeah.
it's one of my, I guess, okay, you have your super mom strength, right? I have my super, okay, but it's one of my
Right.
strengths, is being able to make these connections and help bring people together.
That's awesome. Now, going back really quickly to your
Yep.
1 minute
Yep.
speech or 30 seconds or whatever, what are some key things that someone should say to that? Because, a lot of people,
It
that's
is.
a
It is.
task trying to, you know, say what you're going
Yep.
to say in a minute or 30 seconds. So, what
Okay.
is something key that you feel somebody should include in
Okay.
that
So the
elevator
one thing
pitch or
is you
whatever?
want to break down what you do into one sentence. You don't want to spend 50 seconds of your 60 talking about blah, 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 all this stuff, right? So you can break it down into
Right.
something like, what do you do? So I action verb, my target
Mhm.
market with blank. So I assist, train, provide, help, support. My target market is that women, families, children, professionals, right? With blank.
Mhm.
Make it something catchy so they think,
Mhm.
how do you do that? Or what? Tell me more, right? So that's one way to save up a lot of time in your
Right.
pitch. And then my biggest thing is always put out an ask and make it a big ask. So sometimes people in insurance will
Mhm.
say, I'd like to review your policy. No, no. How can you make this? I would like
Mhm.
to do a, not a lunch and learn these days, but you understand what I'm saying. I would like to speak
Right.
for a large company and offer a webinar for all the employees and be able to possibly get all their insurance policies, right? Right? There's a difference. And so no matter what
Right.
we do, we always make a list of all the things you can ask for and then sit back with your favorite cup of coffee, cup of
Mhm.
tea, whatever it is. And just really ask yourself, how can I make this bigger? Because we never think big enough. You want to ask so audaciously that people
Right.
laugh at you.
That's awesome. Now that's quite a transition because you have a lot of people that they're nervous
Yep,
about getting on video, and then
I
they have to
know.
do this 1 minute pitch,
I
and then
know.
the big ask. So what how do you transition to that, because like you
Mm,
said, we don't think
yeah.
big enough, so what are some things maybe that you do on a regular basis that kind of keep you in that frame of mind
Mm.
of thinking big, because that
It's
definitely is a
it's
muscle you
totally
got
a
to work.
muscle you have to work. So I think the one thing is
Mhm.
always knowing your why. There's going to be times when, like,
Mhm.
I had big goals for the year, and when and before this happened, I was like, oh, well, we're behind, right? You cannot fall into the we're behind and get
Mhm.
stuck. You got to use the we're behind to fuel you through, right? And so, what can
Right.
move you forward is this
Mhm.
big ask. You know what? Every time you have an opportunity to give a pitch,
Mm.
maybe if no one else has an ask at all, I'm just going to tell you right now, you never waste it. If you have 30 seconds, give a big ask. If you have 60 seconds, give a big ask. Because we sit and we go, oh, I'm
Mhm.
Terilee with Team Referral Network and we do virtual networking. Thank you. Okay, I just wasted that with you guys because if I came out, do you know what I remember you did? And it's not the big ask, but when I saw
Right.
you at the online mixer, you said, I have a podcast. If
Mhm.
y'all would like to be a guest on my podcast, raise your hand. And everyone raise their hand, and then you put the link in. Now, if you don't
Mhm.
ask, you'll never get. If you don't
Mhm.
ask, you'll never get. And so, if you want to be memorable, you're going to be
Right.
specific. Like, hey, if you want to meet Tony Robbins, say you want to meet Tony Robbins. If you want to meet Oprah, because I'm sorry, everyone will remember you. And,
Right.
and you know what? And if they do laugh, that is their issue. But
Yeah.
the bigger you can ask, the
Right.
better, right? I promise you, people will remember you, and they know who that
Right.
person or that thing you're looking for in the moment. But when that comes to them in their life, coming weeks, the coming months are going to
Mm.
go, hey, that Terilee asked me for this, and they're gonna remember. So it's one of the keys
Right.
to
I love
really
that.
making an impact and getting better results. We sometimes don't get results from our networking efforts because we play small and we don't ask. Hmm.
Right. Yeah. And with that concept, as you're bringing this up, you blend in to everybody else. There is no way to kind of
Yes.
separate
Yes.
yourself and
Or
rise above
yeah,
the
it has been
competition
very
when you
interesting
do
because
that.
for whatever
Yeah, so that's
reason,
a great. Mhm.
um, I haven't done a lot of podcasts, and recently someone said you need to be a more podcast, and, and I did one yesterday. I'm recording with you today, and I'm recording one tomorrow morning. Now I don't have any scheduled for next week yet, but I'm like, whoa, what is happening here, right? So I better
Mhm.
be asking for these because right.
Right.
So ask yourself, what is it for you?
Right.
I'm having people show up and say
Mhm.
that they want to be podcast, they want to be
Mhm.
speaking at summits, and summits are the new conferences, right? I don't
Mhm.
ever go away. People were having them
Right.
before, but especially now till we know what's going to happen. Because how do we know? I mean, I don't even want to get into this, but how do we even know
Mhm.
once things open up if there'll be another wave? We don't know, right? So these online summits are going to be huge, and
Right.
I'm
Right.
in a where we're going to have one every other month, and it's our members that are our speakers, right? So the ability for people to show up and say, hey, I want to do
Oh, yeah.
this is really important, because people will see these things more and keep that eye out for you, and they're going to say, when they say, hey, I'm looking for guests, they're going to say, oh yeah, you need to talk to her. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Love that. Great, a great added benefit. So, this has just been wonderful. You've given us some great nuggets. I love the whole thing about the tips on how to network, because there's a lot of people pivot and move forward in their industries or even change
Yeah.
industries. These are some great key nuggets for them to remember. So, what is the
Mm.
best
So I want to
way
invite them.
for
Thanks for asking.
someone
I
to
want to
get a
invite
hold
them
of
to
you?
find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my new gym. If you're
Mhm.
someone in business that does business with business owners, that is the place.
Mhm.
There's business conversations and connections there. So you can find me on
Mhm.
LinkedIn. And then I would suggest, if you're someone that's interested in,
Mhm.
has a business and interested in online networking, I'd love it if you found us on Facebook. You can and come on into our free
Mhm.
group, and you'll see the culture of what we're about. Maybe be able to, not maybe, you'll be able to see
Mhm.
like when we have a mixer, when we have a meeting, and be able just to check it out a little bit. So you can find virtual networking group that will lead you directly to our Facebook group, and I'd love to connect with you on there to introduce you around. So if you do happen to come on from there, say that you heard me on Lachelle's um, podcast, and I'll be very glad to welcome you.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, this has just been wonderful. And just as we wrap up here, what are some final words that you would want to say to the audience
I just want to
as
encourage you
they kind
all
of
to
navigate through
look
this
for
pandemic?
the good in every day. I know not every day is good, and it can be overwhelming what's happening. We our story and our journey of what's happening because of this, and my youngest son is a high school student that won't have a graduation. We're here with Bible college students from around Southeast Asia that won't have a graduation that we usually make a huge deal of. And that's our story. I don't know what everyone else's story is. There's people who have sick families,
Mhm.
but look, and just don't, maybe it's take a day
Mhm.
at a time. Take a time. Don't get too overwhelmed. Like if I stopped and thought today, I love my husband and my son that I'm
Mhm.
at home with, and try to use humor to get through the day. But if I really had to think about the fact that, no offense, but that I'm stuck here at home now till June 1st in Singapore, and it's already been almost a month, it's like, so I just don't go there. So one day at a time, look for the good, find the good
Mhm.
in every day, um, and
Mhm.
what we have, because it's just like, you know what? It's like when we gave up all our personal things to come here, giving up a lot right now. And you know what? And there's a beauty in that. It will change us, I
Mhm.
hope, in amazing ways. And let's look for
Mhm.
and find the beauty. And if you are someone who is feeling anxiety and depression, and And I encourage you to reach out to someone and get help. But let's use this as an opportunity to grow. I think that we can all grow, and this will be part of our journey. And I don't know
I
what
love that.
it's like on the other side, but hopefully in some ways we will all be better people for it.
I love that. That's great advice. Well, I have really enjoyed this,
I'm
Terry
so
Lee, and
ready.
I'm
I'm
looking
so
forward
ready.
to us
All right.
collaborating in the future, okay? All
Sounds wonderful.
right.
Thank you so
Well,
much
you
for
have a
having me as your
wonderful
guest, and
evening,
I
and we'll
appreciate
talk
all your
soon,
listeners'
okay?
time. And again, yes, let's totally collaborating very soon. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
What great insight we received from Terry Lee. Please excuse the technical difficulties towards the end of the broadcast. One of the challenges with being recording internationally, but I hope you were able to gather a lot of the nuggets and great points that she was able to make in terms of how to follow up with people, how to be prepared with a 1 minute intro of yourself, and just so many nuggets of wisdom that can help you pivot in your business right now. So we want to thank her again for her insight. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email me at info@LachelleAtkins.com, or you could reach out to me through Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, or my YouTube channel. So if there is something that really you found of value during this time, or somebody that you know would like to connect with others when it comes to networking, please feel free to pass this podcast on to somebody who you feel could benefit from it. Again, I want to thank you all for listening and have a great day.